Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. StrangeNet here. So today I want to talk about getting back into manufacturing. It's been no secret I've been away from the game a little. I've been playing Diablo 2 Resurrection, really been enjoying that. But again, Eve is the game that always pulls me back in, and we can see here from my industry tab, it is pretty bare. It's very seldom you'll ever see it like this. But as I said in the last video, I had taken a bit of a step back, and I am trying to get back into the game a little bit more at the moment. And the way that I do that generally is getting back into industry. So the question that I often get asked is how or what BPO should I buy in order to get into industry? What would you recommend? And this will be a video for itself. But all in all, there is no best thing to buy at any specific time. However, I often look at BPOs that you can do invention from, because Tech 2 manufacturing, again, as all manufacturing, has its ebbs and flows, but there is always a decent demand for Tech 2 stuff, and the getting into it is a little bit more complex than T1, and therefore keeps some people out. You need a bit more skills in order to be able to do it, and again, that keeps more people, and it can be quite complicated, and especially if you're trying to do the entire supply chain, which a lot of people seem to like. Now, as always, I only concentrate on the end product or an intermediate product in between. I don't bother with start to end supply chain, and there is no right or wrong. It's whatever floats your boat, really, but I find it easier because I do a lot of my manufacturing in HiSec, just outside of Jitter. I find it a lot easier just to concentrate on one aspect specifically and target that as much as I can. Now, I often say I don't use many external sources, and the only one I really ever use is Eve Industry, and that is because this website is really easy to use. It's straightforward and basically gives you everything you need without having to click thousands of buttons or get too intimate with cost calculations. And again, there are websites out there that can do it down to the 0.1 of a disk within accuracy, but I don't need that initially. I don't want to be putting in loads of inputs and loads of unnecessary parameters. I just want basically a broad overview, and I find this website is great for that. And more importantly, it was the only one I could ever get on at work. So not only is it simple, but it was the only one I could actually use. So you can see here we've got, and again, I'll give you a bit of a rundown from this because it looks more complicated than it is. So we're going to look at the large shield extender, and basically automatically it would be on manufacturing, and that would bring you up all your different things here that contain large. So we obviously want large shield extender, and then basically assuming you've got your skills at 555, you can change them in the settings. I'm not going to go into that because again it defaults to 5, so you can knock a few percentage off here, there and everywhere depending. But you click on invention and that automatically tells you pretty much everything you need to know. So we've got the encryption skill at 5, data core 5, and data core 2 at 5. So they're the data core specific skills for these. It doesn't go into it, but basically it works out all the maths for you. And again, ignore most of this, set it to 200% if you're doing it in Jitter. If not, again, that's the percentage of the overall installation cost. But again, you can play around with that to make it meet. You can also add a data crypter if you want for small stuff, and never add data crypters, and it gives us here the breakdown. So we have a 49% chance of creating a 10-run Tech 2 BPC from the original, and that cost for using the data cores in order to be able to do it, you've got 0.61% chance, or yeah, that's how many you'll need, sorry, per invention on average. And then your invention cost comes out to 110,000. We have the material costs here, which come out to 727,000, and basically the numbers that we're really interested in the end are the final numbers here, and that is the overall profit of overall value. That's the overall cost of actually manufacturing all the items. That's what you'll get for selling it, sorry, and that is your overall profit. Now, down here we have, and again, this is where it needs some updating because it hasn't been adjusted somewhat for the new player-owned stations, but your NPC time, So on average, it's going to take you 50 minutes to build one of these. The invention time is 1 hour 28, and the copy time is 1 minute 32. So if you were doing an NPC station, you're looking at 63,000 ISK profit, give or take. Yeah, so that's mine with the tax involved. That's with NPC tax, and that is if you were doing it at a POS or a player-owned station, because player-owned stations basically have a faster manufacturing time. So on average, because we're building one every 44 minutes, that brings our profit to 148,000. And that's why I like this site, because it's simple, it's straightforward, and again, I can do this for lots of items relatively quickly. So I can do 200 mil auto cannons, and again, all the stats and everything stay the same, so all the encryption, invention, all I have to do is make sure that I'm not on manufacturing, because that assumes you're producing it from a Tech 2 BPO, which we are not, we are inventing. Don't want to use the data cryptor, and again, down to the bottom. So on average, profit per hour, I'll be making 130,000 ISK. Now, again, this isn't 100% accurate, but it's accurate enough that I know that basically if it's in a decent amount of green and there's a decent amount of profit there, the chances are that that figure will change slightly, whether it be up or down. But if it's obviously in a negative, then I'm probably best off steering clear of it. So let's try it. Heavy missile launcher. Again, nice profit there from these items, almost 300,000 ISK an hour. What else have we got? Let's have a look at smaller auto cannons, and again, this is in a negative, so this is completely out the window, because again, adjusting for a slight faster build time would mean that obviously that is making even less ISK. Let's have a look at neutrons. Decent amount there. And this is how I find the items that I want to build. Basically, I take a couple of minutes to go through, have a look, see what there is, and whether it's worth producing from. And that is pretty much it. This is how I do it. Again, tracking computer, decent. Tracking disruptor, decent. Tracking enhancer. Yep, reasonable. So once I've established what items can be produced and what roughly they're coming out at, I will go back into Tranquility and I will thrash it out properly. There we go. It's annoying that you can't search Tech 2 ones in the drop down, but hey ho, it is what it is. So we're in Jetta at the moment. Obviously this is assuming we are building next door, but we don't necessarily want that. I want production center because it's quicker. Worked out nicely. So yeah, so again, when you're building something, I've seen numerous people advertise this, and again, it makes me want to smack my head against the wall because it is wrong. This hovering over here gives you an estimated cost to build one at 436,355 ISK. And that is basically for all the materials, yada yada yada. However, this is an average price for the last week. I think it's last week. It could be a little longer than a week. It could be a fortnight. It could be a month. Either way, this is an estimated average. So don't go on the average, because the average is exactly that. It's the average. So right click, buy all. So 435,000. What was that? 436,000. So not a huge difference in this case. But again, if we're using a bigger BPC, and again, let's just showcase that, shall we? So let us do a Raven. And this will hopefully really emphasize the difference there. But this is why always click it, right click and check. So to build a Raven, let's have a look. It's estimating that it's going to cost us 297,000 ISK. 297, but in reality, to buy the materials straight off the market, it's 318 million ISK. So yeah, don't go on the average. Always right click and buy, assuming obviously you're buying your materials from Jitter or wherever you get them from. But again, if you're just looking for a rough estimate, then that's exactly what that gives you. It's an estimate. Do not go on that. So anyway, where were we? Back to the autocannons. Production. Right, so we determined that if we buy it, it's 435,000, and it's going to take us roughly 12 minutes. So hey ho, the trusty calculator, there are 16 minutes in an hour, and we are going to divide that by 13 because we're going to round that up, and that means we make 4.61 of these units every hour, and they are currently selling for 559. 559. So 465 plus installation costs, so 456. 456. It's just memory plus that, so 456 minus the sell cost. Yeah, we've got a bit of tax to come off that, so we'll round that down. So 94,000 ISK per unit. What did the website say? We got so a little over in regards to the profit, but that was assuming we were building it jitter and at a slower. So either way, why we double check just to make sure. Again, this is just to give me an idea with what is profitable at the time. And so say when I've decided on something, 94,000 times 4.61 units that we can build every hour, we are making 433,000 ISK per hour building these. We'll divide that by the 4.61 again, because again, 94, I'll be making 10 at a time. Because that's how many you can generally make with a standard BPC. So for a run of these, I'll be making 940,000 ISK. I will be using 11 slots, so I'll be making 10 million ISK from character from doing this for an hour. I think it's just under 2 hours. Might be less than that. So that's how I generally go about calculating and looking at stuff that I want to build and whether it is profitable or not. Now, generally I'd be doing that for 3 characters in total, and I'd probably do that about 3 times a day, and that would net me 93 million ISK. And for doing very, very little, because once I've got my materials over to perimeter, it's just a matter of click, 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 and getting everything started. So hopefully that has given you a little bit of an insight to how I go about manufacturing my items, and not manufacturing, how I go about picking stuff to build. And again, it's the website of choice. I will put it down in the description, but this is, I don't use any of the other websites that's ISK per hour or this, that, and the other. And it's not because they're bad sites, and I've said this hundreds of times. They aren't bad sites, but the problem that you get is, and again, everybody is in the same mindset, or to some extent the same mindset, that you put all your parameters in and then it lists the top 10 items to make profit on. And everybody looks at them top 10 items or top 20 or however many it is and goes, right, I'm going to build them. And then top 10, 20 items very quickly fall out of being competitive, because for whatever reason they've had a spike or there's been a lull in people building them, and when all of a sudden you get a supply or an oversupply of items, that then forces the price down because everybody's jostling to sell their item before the price gets back to its equilibrium. And it's often the case that it will drive it below its average price because everybody's jostling to get rid of their stock so they can move on to the next profitable item. Now, that's great if you manage to catch it early on the item and you already have everything ready to go. But if that isn't the case, then you are often going to get left with stock and items that you can't sell because you're chasing the market. And then I get this, my items won't sell. How do I sell them? Yada, yada, yada. You don't. So that's why I don't use a lot of websites that tell me how much or what the best item is. And I kind of find it more enjoyable finding my own items. Think a bit more of a as a treasure hunt. When I find something, I'm like, ooh, look at this. And, you know, that's just me, you know, do however you want, but that is how I go about selecting what items. And again, mostly is the case, I'm looking for something that is going to be producing around about, I want 150,000 ISK per slot per hour as a minimum. And again, if I can't get that, then often I won't be producing said item. Now, in the past, it used to be much higher, but as things have gone on and people have got better at researching, manufacturing, and the rest of it, this has driven the prices of a lot of things down. So you have to determine what you're willing to work for. And for me, that line is 150,000 ISK per hour. So I hope that was useful. I hope that was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. And with that, if you haven't subscribed, then please do think about it. Again, I've not left. I am still here. I am still producing videos, just on a slower basis at the moment until I really get back into it. Or have something to say. I don't want to just make a video just for the sake of making videos. You know, if I haven't got much to say, then I'm not releasing a video. If I have something to say, then obviously there will be videos for you to watch. And again, I am looking at other things to do within Eve. I've done a lot of mining recently, and I will be giving my thoughts and input into that and other aspects that, again, exploring and investigating. But again, I don't want to just make a video, say that I'd make a video every 3 days and put myself under pressure, and then just give you something that isn't really worth watching, or I'm just wasting your time because it's just rambling about rubbish, or just doing it because I feel like I have to do it. So, again, thank you for listening. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon.